Hello everyone, it's Jack Cotton, luxury real estate expert, author, and agent. I am here inside my beautiful, luxurious, but not overly ostentatious Cape Cod office. We're continuing our series on negotiation, and we're at my favorite part of the whole series, except for the next part. I added a part, by the way. Today we're going to talk about my 3 rules of negotiation. I've studied long, I've studied hard, I've gone to classes, I've gone to MIT, Harvard Law School negotiation classes, read all kinds of books, and I've boiled everything I've learned down to 3 rules that you can use in negotiation. So let's talk about what they are. Number 1 is to create standing. Create standing. What is standing? Well, standing is your perceived presence, your perceived power, your personal power. For example, I have standing based on 4 decades in the business. That's cool. However, when I'm negotiating against somebody who's a Fortune 500 CEO who regularly negotiates deals in the hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars, who has more standing now? Right, not me, them. So we have to create standing and sort of equalize the playing field between ourselves and the person with whom we're negotiating. How do we do that? What are some of the sources of the standing? Well, there's authority. You can write articles, you can write papers, you can even write a book about your profession, your luxury real estate business, your authority. Next is knowledge of the market. The more market data you have, the more market stats you know about, the more you know the market, the more knowledge you have, the more standing you will have. Scarcity. The more scarce the supply of property is, the more standing you're going to have. The more scarce your competition is, the more standing you're going to have. But that's often not the case. We're in a very competitive environment. The more contacts or connections you have with people in your marketplace, the more standing you will have. Being at the right place at the right time can create standing. Really having a need, people having a need for the product, people being transferred. It's the only house with 7 bedrooms. That's going to give you more standing to negotiate with that person because they have such a strong need and a sense of urgency that goes along with it. Your personality can create standing. I don't know about that one. Anyway, but if you have one, that can help you with your standing. But most importantly, your funnel or your pipeline, the more leads you have, the more prospective clients you have, the more likely you are to have standing. This will also, by the way, help you on Jack's negotiation tip number 3, which I'll get to in a moment. My next rule of negotiation is to never, ever, ever assume. Never assume you know what the other side wants. If there's one rule that I violate most often, it's this one. Well, in this same situation, I would want this, so they must want the same thing. No, you can never assume you know what the other person wants, and you can never assume the other person wants what you would want in the same situation. You have to find out what they want by asking a lot of questions, by qualifying them, probe for their needs and motivation. What do they really want? Why do they really want this? And why will that change themselves? What will that mean to them and their families when they get that? I call that the why behind the why. Really probe. Don't assume. I'll tell a story some other time about how I was negotiating with the father of negotiation at Harvard Law School in front of lawyers from all over the world. He and I were one-on-one, and how I made a complete, total, utter, hopeless fool of myself because I made some assumptions, and that's how that lesson was burned into me indelibly. Anyway, this guy, Reinhardt, who's a Nobel Prize winner, said, negotiating is not listening to what they say, but finding out what they want. That is the secret. Knowledge will give you standing, and it'll also help you understand what people really want. So my final rule of negotiation is the most important one, which is to detach from the outcome. In fact, if you can learn this one, if you can follow this one, I'm not going to say you can forget the first 2, but you don't have to rely as much on the first 2 because detaching from the outcome is the most powerful negotiation rule or technique that I know of. And I am really, really good at this. In fact, the older I get, the better I get at this. And I think it's because I keep forgetting what the outcome is. So it's easy to detach from it if I forgot what it's going to be. So anyway, be willing to walk away. You know, what do you need? What do you need to have happen in your life to be at that level where you can walk away from a deal where you don't need every single listing? What if you could walk into a listing appointment and sit down with a seller, instead of giving a 30, 45, or 60-minute listing presentation, what if you just said one sentence to them, which is, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, great to see you tonight. Tell me, why should I take your listing? Does that turn things around? That's called detaching from the outcome. So you can be either really rich, you can have great reserves in the bank, You can have, again, a full pipeline will help you detach from the outcome. And having a business plan, knowing what you have to do and how far you are on your goal to reaching on your path to reach your goal, that's all helping you detach from the outcome. Having systems and dialogues helps you detach from the outcome. So give the other side the right to say no, walk away, or veto the deal. You know what, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? I think you shouldn't sell your house right now. You know, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer? I think that now is not the time for you to be buying a house. It's called the takeaway. Detach from the outcome and watch how people come together when the pressure comes away. Remember we talked before about butting heads and resisting force? It doesn't work. Detaching from the outcome is the ultimate of not butting heads or putting people under pressure. Tell them they shouldn't buy it. Tell them they shouldn't sell it. Use the takeaway. It's a great way to be successful in luxury real estate negotiation. I'm not sure who said this, but in a negotiation, he who cares or she who cares less wins. Case closed. Simple. Okay. We're going to cover one more thing next week on quantifying your USPs, which if all this stuff doesn't work, it'll help at least you get the fee you deserve. So we'll cover that next time. In the meantime, don't forget the first Tuesday of every month, luxuryrealestateunplugged.com. Go there, log in, sign up, ask your questions in advance or during the heat of the moment, during the heat of the 60-minute session. It's the best deal in one-on-one coaching in a group setting that you're going to find in luxury real estate. Until next time, make it a great week.